What up everyone, I'm HAVOC and it's time for yet another game review. The end of the Triple D reviews, if you will. And oh boy, the time has finally come to talk about this golden banana of a game. I am of course talking about none other than Donkey Kong Bananza. And let me tell you folks, this one has been long overdue. The game more so than the review. The review is pretty late though. So without further ado, let's break through the layers and go bananas. Donkey Kong Bananza is the first new Donkey Kong game that isn't a remake or port we've had in 11 years. The last one we had was Tropical Freeze, which came out back in 2014. So the quote famous post-grunge band Stained, it's been a while, but here's the kicker. This is the first 3D Donkey Kong we've had since DK64. 25 fucking years. And it's about frickin' time. And folks, let me tell you, this was a dream come true for me. Not to sound like a self-proclaimed prophet or anything like that, but ever since Mario Odyssey came out, I've dreamed, I've always said, wouldn't it be cool if Donkey Kong got the Odyssey treatment? Give us a new 3D DK in the same vein as Odyssey, just like DK64 did with Mario 64. And lo and behold, we got it. And I was ecstatic when it first got announced and when it got released. And it's from the same dev team as Odyssey, and it shows. This game definitely feels like the sequel spin-off to Odyssey with its own Donkey Kong banana flavor. And I am all for that. But that's not to say it's a carbon copy of Odyssey. The similarities end at the 3D platformer Collectathon, and is almost a spiritual successor to DK64. In this game, you collect golden bananas, just like in 64. Or in this game, they're called Banandium Gems. I am so glad they put that bit in. But the twist is, the environments are almost entirely destructible, allowing you to smash and dig your own path to those tasty bananas, within reason. And along for the ride is Pauline, or rather, Pauline Jr. if I'm to understand this timeline right. But since when has Nintendo ever cared for continuity? With Pauline, you can use her singing to access new abilities, like guiding your way to bananas and objectives, or as the title states, Bananza forms, which still have me scratching my head. Yup, still weird. And we don't only have Kong, zebra, or ostrich forms, no. We also have a snake and an elephant. Still weird. But the Bananza form mechanic is somewhat unique and new for a DK game. I'll give them that. Sure, you could turn into other animals before, but not to the extent of Bananza. Moving on. What I will say about this game that is kind of annoying is how often you can get sidetracked, going after all the different bananas, as is the same with any collectathon. Which I know is the point, I'm just saying. But the levels, or layers at the very least, are each unique and refreshing to each other. I do like how they each have their own terrain mechanic, with the later levels being tougher to break through, or have terrain that literally interacts with one another. Kind of like a chemistry set in that way. For example, some terrain can only be destroyed with boom rocks, or how turf surfing will work better with some terrain better than others. I learned the hard way, don't turf surf with chunks made of dirt. especially through spikes or poison. You're in for a bad time. Now, speaking of breaking through terrain, this game has a skill tree, something not seen in most 3D platformers. Unlocking abilities, that's one thing, but a full-on dedicated skill tree, that's a new one. You earn skill points by collecting 5 bananas, which often led to me grinding bananas to max out my health and punch power early on. It could get tiring, but it's worth it, especially when you reach the aforementioned later levels with the tougher terrain. Maybe one day I'll do a playthrough without putting a single skill point into punching or health. That could be fun. Or torturous. Now, speaking of torture, unlike DK games that came before, namely the country games, this one's not all that difficult. This game, thanks to its more freeform sandboxing, offers diverse ways to reach the goals, like the aforementioned carving your own path to bananas, or using chunks of terrain to create bridges, or use it as a way to jump higher. That being said though, as with any platformer, they do throw obstacles at you to circumvent those tactics, like enemies who can't be hurt by the currently available terrain, or areas that can't be accessed with your current abilities, Metroidvania style. With all that being said though, the game offers plenty of diversity to accomplishing your goals. For example, having a hard time with the minigames that need you to break all the bricks in a short amount of time, but you can't do it with regular DK or the Kong Bananza? Use the elephant form to just suck up all the terrain in no time at all. A tactic, I admit, I used pretty often. But anyway, that chalks up the gameplay. It's altogether a very fun time, and it's very engaging. Now moving on to probably my favorite part of the game, the amount of love that's given to the DK games of old. This game is a love letter to Donkey Kong's legacy, just like Odyssey was for Mario. From the days of the arcade to DK Jr. to the Rareware days and the country games in DK64 to the days that came after with Jungle Beat and the Reborn country games, this game has a bit of everything sprinkled throughout so well. And it all comes to a head in the final levels of the game. And holy fuck, what comes after is just straight bananas. Let me tell you, it brought a tear to my eye as a lifelong fan of DK64. And that final boss fight, mwah, talk about laying the smack down. So with all that being said, what did I think of Donkey Kong Bananza? Folks, let me tell you, it was a hell of a time in the best possible way. I had fun with it from start to finish, and I even went so far as to 100% the game. And that is why I am giving Donkey Kong Bananza a whopping gallant rating of 9.5 out of 10. And it goes to show why this game is in the running for Game of the Year alongside Death Stranding 2 and Expedition 33. My one and only gripe, my one and only real gripe, is there wasn't an option to have a classic rare DK skin or something. Especially since Cranky, Diddy, and Dixie all look basically the same. Not saying I don't like the new look, I really do. It's pleasant to look at and he is plenty of expressive. I'm just a stickler for what came before, that's all. And speaking of, they added a DLC where you can return to DK Island, something that had me super excited to see again. Though I will say, it's not worth $30. It's that level, that's not even a real level. It's a bonus stage, for lack of a better term. It's a spot you go post-game to unlock cosmetic stuff. Sure, there's Emerald Rush, but even that, it's like, okay, cool. Some extra rewards. Nothing too major. But anyway, that doesn't impede the rating at all. But that's about all I have to say about this one. So what did you all think of Donkey Kong Bananza? Drop a comment, let me know. But in the meantime, folks, I am HAVOC Kong. I mean, Gallant HAVOC. And I think this calls for 2 words. Banana Slammer.